Some of you might be waking up this morning remembering that moment in yesterday's Texans-Cowboys game, if you actually watched it, and thinking to yourself, damn it, this team is just so far away. But not me. Not here on the most positive and interactive sports talk show in Houston. Guys, the Texans did get a moral victory yesterday. I know some of you, negative, cynical, Debbie Downers, maybe can't see it. Giving up a 98-yard touchdown drive to lose the battle of the we play each other every 4 years and no one really cares, and Cowboy fans kind of pat us on the head like little brothers rivalry. You know, you probably wanted a little bit more there. But no, this show, we look at it through a different lens. Isn't that right? Sean Mapes behind the glass. We are built different because we are optimistic. We look to the future, and whatever positive little bits that you can squeeze out of a Sunday, we'll squeeze them. And there was some positivity to squeeze into our cup of juice on this Monday.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not? This, no joke, was not just the best game that the Texans played all season. I would say it's the only entertaining game the Texans have played all season.
You know what, Sean, if they played a couple more games like this, maybe we'd be having fun at this point. You know, we saw the Detroit Lions. They've won a bunch of games in a row. They're 6-7. They just beat a 10-win team. The Texans almost beat a 10-win team. You got to take the good moments where you can. Embrace them. Okay? I've watched It's a Wonderful Life over the course of the last week because I was feeling down about myself. I watched Muppet Christmas Carol, where Ebenezer Scrooge, played by Michael Caine, wakes up the next day. He's so excited to take on the world because he's got a new outlook on life, and that's where I am too. Okay? So look, we gotta give props where we can. Some golf claps. And Sean, I didn't tell you about this before the show, but I made something. Okay? And if you're watching on twitch.tv/ESPN975, you'll get to see it. What, Sean? What?
I'm always worried when props get involved.
The props are the best part of the show. That's why you got to watch it on Twitch. Guys, I got the moral victory trophy out here. Now, you might see like a Post-it note on the front that says, almost beat the Cowboys, but the Texans got it. And they made the Cowboys scared. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, Paul, you're just being sarcastic. No, this was an earned moral victory. You might think to yourself, oh, Paul, what is a moral victory? You don't know that. You don't know what that means. You're stupid. You don't know how to read. Well, on Wikipedia.com, it says, a moral victory occurs when a person, team, or any other group loses a confrontation and yet achieves some other moral gain. This gain might be unrelated to the confrontation in question. And the gain is often considerably less than what would have been accomplished if an actual victory had been achieved. Shut up, Wikipedia. Don't diminish a moral victory in the midst of the definition. For example, a sports team that is a heavy underdog. And guess what, guys? For the second time this year, Texans, double-digit underdogs against the Eagles, double-digit underdogs against the Cowboys. They covered. This team gets up in big-time games. And you know what? Maybe if they weren't in the AFC South playing the Jaguars of London all the time, or the Tennessee Titans, or the Indianapolis Colts, maybe if they played good teams on a regular basis, they would think it's actually worth their time to show up. With a little Davis Mills, a little Jeff Driscoll. Oh, man. Exotic offensive looks. The problem is they just got to play better teams on a more regular basis. By the way, in the definition of moral victory, a team that plays fairly and loses to a cheating team might also claim a moral victory in spite of the loss. So that explains the New York Yankees over the past 5 years. The Los Angeles Dodgers, too. Moral World Series victories. Other moral victories may include scenarios in which a force loses a struggle but inflicts great losses upon their opponents. Like a Pyrrhic victory, that's the opposite. You know, Pyrrhic victory is where you win, but you feel like crap afterwards. That's where the Cowboys are. But no, like Thermopylae, the Battle of the Alamo, and the Texans 27-23 lost to the Cowboys yesterday. This trophy earned twitch.tv/ESPN975.
That's a little too nice of a trophy for a moral victory, I will say.
It is. The Paul Gallant caught 5 touchdown passes from David Gow in the Houston Texans media game back in 2017. Yeah.
That makes sense.
MVP. But
you had so many of those lying around. You decided
I know. I'm just like my My
this
brother-in-law.
year?
My brother-in-law is essentially the grandson of Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes, and I spent a Thanksgiving night over there, and they basically have Emmys just lying around the house. Some of them are doorstops, so it's always interesting to see that. But look, you probably don't believe me. You're like, Paul, you're so sarcastic today. God, I don't have the patience for this. The Dallas Cowboys, they were willing to give the Houston Texans their flowers after the game. Jerry Jones at his post-game press conference, because he gets interviewed in the locker room like Dallas Cowboy players, he said that any team can win in the NFL on any given Sunday, and the Texans, they're proof of that.
Any NFL team can beat the other one. And so I was, like everybody, dismayed that we were giving them some turnovers. We felt that was one way, but I want to give them credit. Their defense really played well and really gave us probably what that score indicates.
Jerry Jones, successful businessman, gave the Houston Texans credit. And I think Cal McNair needed that. I think Cal McNair needs to hear that. Because this team, well, I'm not going to say that they're going in the right direction. They can't go any further in the wrong direction. And that's why on Sunday they're like, you know what? We know Davis Mills sucks. We know Jeff Driscoll's not good either. Let's put them both out there because bleep it. That is a moral victory to me. Realizing that you're just so screwed as it is, you may as well do some completely wacky stuff. Like Pep Hamilton's favorite formation. The one where he has the offensive lineman go out wide. There's 3 offensive linemen and then a quarterback out of the shotgun. They're running for like 2 yards when QB sneaks out of that formation. But no, I'm starting to sound negative again. Jerry Jones was asked if maybe the Cowboys took the Texans and they're now 11-1 record lightly going into the game. But Jerry, he saw something else. And you're going to spit out your coffee when you hear this one.
Well, I think their record of only 1 win would make anybody take them lightly, but that's the miscalculation. Shouldn't take them lightly. And they've got outstanding football players. We know every one of them. And those quarterbacks today look like they were Brett Favre, both of them. So all of it, they just, I don't have to point that out. They gave us more than we wanted today. And we were fortunate to have that 98-yard drive. That took a lot of really fortitude, I think.
Yeah.
And from that drive right there, I think we're a better team than when we entered the game.
Okay, Jerry, you're rambling. We need to go back. Sean Mabe sent me a tweet of this quote last night, and I could not stop laughing. Go back in time in this cut. Let's hear what Jerry Jones just described Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll as.
And those quarterbacks today look like they were Brett Favre, both of them. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, hopefully they didn't look like Brett Favre in that game. Remember where he was playing for the Vikings? I don't know who they were playing outdoors, but he got concussed like 3 times and looked about as sad, depressing, and flaccid as that one pick he sent to Jen Sturger. He just looked deflated. I don't know if Mills and Driscoll were there, but look, the Cowboys, who know a thing or two about success, who have gone up against Brett Favre, MVP, while Jerry Jones was owner back in the 90s, they would know what Brett Favre looks like. Jeff Driscoll, Davis Mills, combine them together, 2 Brett Favres.
How is Brett Favre the quarterback he goes to there?
It's a great question.
The guy most recently, his name was probably most recently in the news for, some light fraud.
Yeah, just $5 million.
Yeah, light fraud.
It was for women's sports, okay?
He's an ally.
Yeah, I mean, look, trying to be fair and balanced here. It was for the women's volleyball program. It just didn't make it.
What specifically do you like? This is why I wish we got to interview Jerry Jones. What specifically reminded you of Brett Favre from Jeff Driscoll?
It's a great question, Sean. I don't know, but I'm going to take it. Again, guys, moral victory, okay? Your quarterbacks are like Brett Favre. Now, you're going to replace them after the year, but they're like Brett Favre. That's a reason to watch the last 4 games of the season. God, there's still 4 games left. Oh, my God. Hey! Wait, no, there's 3 games. Wait, hang on. They played 30. Yeah, there's 4 games. Oh, damn it. Hey, Dak Prescott, he's got some good things to say. You want to add to the moral victory tally? Well, Dak Prescott, after this game, said this win could give the Cowboys more juice going forward than their victory over the 10-win Minnesota Vikings.
This will serve us more than I think the Minnesota game or even the way that we finished last game when it comes down to it. Because we're going to play some tough games as we get going. You got to play games like one-score games here in the back end against our division, whether it be the playoffs, and just for us to have that confidence and trust in one another and continue to tighten our bond is something that we're going to need. So, yeah, in a sense, we needed this game. And
the Texans tightened the Cowboys' bond. Moral victory. With 2 quarterbacks that looked like Brett Favre out there. 27-23. Yeah, the Cowboys won at the end of the day with that 98-yard touchdown drive, but think about it from this perspective. There are 4 minutes left. Would the Cowboys have scored? Would they have run out of time? Texans defense was playing bend but don't break. They just misallocated the time. Got a couple of interceptions. Jalen Petrie played well, huh? I mean, this is a moral victory. And the sad thing is, on a finally serious note, had they given us a couple more performances like this, wouldn't there be some collective interest in the Texans right now? Just a couple of performances like this. Because the only other game where they have seemed remotely competitive the way that they did yesterday was that Philadelphia Eagles game that nobody watched on Thursday night while the World Series was being played. You know, like that's the unfortunate truth about this. Just a couple more performances like this, and I feel like at the very least there's some positivity about this team instead of our sarcastic positivity. But hey, moral victory. Couple of texts on the most interactive sports talk show in Houston, 713-780-3776, 713-780-ESPN. That game saved Nick Caserio and Lovie Smith's job. I don't know about that, especially when it comes to Lovie Smith. We will talk later in the week with some national folks to try to get a gauge on what the heck the Texans are supposed to do. You know, according to the whole, you can't fire a coach after one season, especially after you fired a black coach last year. You can't do that 2 years in a row. You'll look racist. Another text, Jerry, really? Brett Favre? Yes. He knows ball. He knows balls and ball. Okay? A text from the 956. The Texans need to bring DeMeco Ryans back into the building as the head coach. Former middle linebacker for this team, doing a damn good job with San Francisco, who smothered Tom Brady and the Buccaneers yesterday in a 35-7 victory. I wonder if Ryans would want to come here. The big issue that you now have as far as the next head coach is that if you want the next guy, you got to fire Lovie. And no matter if it is the right decision or not, you will have fired 2 head coaches in a row after just 1 year. I think the only way that you could potentially bring in a top-of-the-line coaching candidate would be if you also were to clean house with Nick Caserio. And I just don't get the feeling that the Texans are willing to do that. You need an entirely fresh start to spin it to some potential hire that this is not a chaotic, things can change every single year mess. You want to make it seem like the guy's going to have 3 years to build something. You know, Dan Campbell, first season with the Lions, but you're seeing what that coaching staff is getting out of their players right now with that win that they had over the Minnesota Vikings. Biggest upset of the weekend this past weekend, even though the Lions were actually favored in that game. I guess the Vikings winning all those one-score games finally caught up to them. A couple of responses to me asking, did the Texans secure a moral victory on Sunday? I say yes. I even gave him this little trophy, twitch.tv/ESPN975, if you want to see what the trophy looks like. Go Dog Go 1 says, a Pyrrhic victory, that's when you win, but you're like, oh, damn, this sucks, would be getting a moral victory against the Cowboys only to convince our general manager that, hey, Davis Mills is the quarterback of the future. Credit to Pep Hamilton by not using Davis Mills the majority of the game, you kind of completely remove the possibility of Mills changing anybody's mind in the organization. Not that anyone should expect him to be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't think having the best performance of the season with as little Davis Mills as possible, with Mills still playing, I don't think that proves that Davis Mills should stick around.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Another comment on twitch.tv/ESPN975. Limnologist05 says, the Texans did a great job scheming the Cowboys. I guess offensively more than defensively. Defensively, you still saw some of the same stuff. I mean, they got the takeaways, but
It was the Jeff Driscoll. They didn't expect a little...
the Driscoll cat, right?
Yeah, a little Driscoll cat. That's the scheme.
What was the formation that UT had with Tyrone Swoops?
18-wheeler package.
18-wheeler, yeah. I think we need a cooler nickname for the Driscoll cat than the Driscoll cat, but the 18-wheeler, that was a fantastic nickname for that. The comment continues, there is no moral victory when you go to Rex Burkhead for 2 straight losses at the goal line and can't put the game away. No, there is, because you're making sure that you have the first overall pick in this year's draft, okay? So you were close. No cigar. I mean, aren't we trying to embrace the suck, like the bench and like the killer bees, We're not fully endorsing it, but we're looking the other way. We're like that cop in the town. Go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah, I think the Burkhead carries is literally what make it a moral victory and keep it from being a real victory.
Very much so. Yeah, Sean. Moral victory better than the actual victory. That's our spin zone today.
Now the record looks really cool because it's 1-1-1-1.
Damn.
Gotta be the first time in history that's happened.
You know what? You're probably right. 1-0-1-0-1-1-1. Well, no, we're speaking in binary, but we're only saying it with one note here.
Record Gami.
Record copy. Yeah, there we go.